Bonjour. Bonjour, Lisa.
Today, everybody's talking about joy.
Yep.
But you guys were living it, the brand lives it each and every day. But how do you think about delivering a joyful experience to all of those stakeholders?
When I got to La Madeleine, I did not know, shame on me for my 2 years of high school French, so I forgot everything. But I didn't know Joie de Vivre. I didn't know what that was. For those that don't know, it's a French philosophy of the joy of life, right? So it's a thing in France. And it's very, very powerful. So that's a great example of just when you think you have to invent something to try to make it, authentic, it's already in the wood of the brand. It's already in the DNA of the brand. Joie de Vivre is a term that's been floated around from the original La Madeleine founder, Patrick Esquire, like 43 years ago now. So for me, in this case, to have a brand like that, where we can lean into that even more than we have in the past, and just dust that piece off and really accentuate it even more, that's where the exciting part is, and that's where the growth is going to come from us. But it's important. I've seen brands make this mistake. Nostalgia is not a strategy.
John Dillon has spent his career stewarding brands people know and love. From early jobs like Blockbuster, to doing marketing for Pizza Hut and the Houston Rockets, to 16 years at Denny's, every stop along the way prepared him for this moment, leading a brand whose secret weapon was already baked in: Joie de Vivre, the joy of life. Now, as CEO of La Madeleine, he's on a mission to bring warmth, connection, and joy back to the center of the dining experience.
I would send resumes to every pro sports team, every college, athletic association, athletic department.
What did that teach you that you think you carried forward of all those rejection letters?
It took me probably 10, 15 years to learn it, but a little bit of it was never give up on a dream. I speak to college students all the time now. Don't expect a straight line in your career, or if you have a dream, if it's not the timing right, if you're interested, keep pursuing, or don't officially, lock it out, because it could come back. Embrace the kind of crooked line of the curve. I am one of these guys that I've tried to leave the restaurant industry twice, and I've got sucked right back in, but I think willingly. It all kind of ties together into kind of the career I've pursued since. Yeah, I like the human element of stories and experiences. Food brings people together. Restaurants bring people together. Back in the day, it was sports for me. It brought people together. They've shared experiences, and I think that's invaluable. So there's something about those shared experiences and the comfort and connection that we can bring people together in a way a lot of industries can't.
You're in the moments and memory business.
I like it. A lot of memories people have throughout their life are in entertainment venues, hospitality venues, restaurants. People are looking for comfort and connection at any brand right now, whether it's QSR, fast casual, fine dining, what have you. They're looking for those kind of connections, which is this beautiful industry we're in. Is about hospitality and creating and curating those connections for people. And most importantly, I think a lot of brands do get in trouble here is
right now, almost every leader I talk to has a single question on their mind. How do I drive more value for my customers? And our next guest, John Dillon, has a great perspective. And it's not just about price. It's about this delicate dance between the customer, the operators, and the bottom line. Bonjour, Jean.
Bonjour, Lisa.
Welcome.
2 years of high school French are coming in handy already.
Yes, I was going to say, I'll have to just put it out there. I was going to try to say, are you ready? Bienvenue dans l'émission, which is welcome to the show.
Merci.
But I chickened out, but I tried it anyway. Right?
Well done,
But thank you so much. I know we've been talking about this. John and I have actually known each other for like 20 years, which I texted you that, and I was like, I could not believe that it's been that long.
Good thing we're not getting older either, right?
We look the same. We look the same. But anyway, I would love to jump in with that question, because literally we talk about that so much, about this value equation. And tell me about that perspective, about this dance. And it's not about sharp price points or just being louder. And this equation that we've talked about over the years.
Yeah, this isn't a new thought to those of us that have been in the industry for a while, right? So value is not just price, very simply, right? So value is a equation. And I like to say, and I know you do too, the numerator is much more important than the denominator, right? So price is at the bottom. People are looking for price. That's the important part, right? So a lot of restaurateurs are saying, oh, price doesn't matter. We just got to provide the value. We got to provide the experience and all that. But at the end of the day, people do want to know how much they're going to spend, right? So price is an important part. You can't forget about the price part of the equation. But at the same time, the numerator is such more important.
Well, and you had talked about this idea of how the execution and the fact that, the guest experience, but then the bottom line, but they all have to work together.
Yeah.
And so what do you feel like those trade-offs are, in the sense that if, one's not working, something else has to compensate?
Well, I mean, said another way, I think all three have to work, or else the equation's messed up from the start. So, and you got to scrap it and start over. So it's got to be an experience that is worth it for the guests, right? So it's got to be there. It's got to be something they walk out saying, I'm glad I spent my money on that experience, on that product, or the combination thereof. It's got to work for the operator in the restaurant. They have to be able to execute it on the front line. So if it's too complex from an execution standpoint, or too complex for the customer to understand, it's not going to work. And third, and most importantly, I think a lot of brands do get in trouble here, is it's got to pay off. So you have to be able to make money on whatever you're offering to the guest, right? So can't just cut prices, right? So there are ways to value engineer menus and make sure you're looking at food cost and still hit some food cost targets that make sense for the operator and the franchisee, what have you, at the end of the day.
Well, and there's so many stories, John, right now, that there's this graveyard of kind of promotions because they're just so much discounting.
Yeah.
And then financially, franchisees particularly bear the burden, and it's like not sustainable.
Exactly.
In today's world.
Yeah, exactly right. But there are lessons on the other side too of brands, and I've done a couple of those in my career, which is you value engineer to the guest, but you also price engineer. So you're still making roughly, if not more margin on a value offer.
Do you think anything because as we said, value is always value, and what you get for what you pay.
Yeah.
What makes it so much harder today?
What makes value so much harder?
Delivering for operators.
All the pressures we're all facing, right? So it's the labor costs, it's the food costs, it's the increased expectations the customer has. The good and the bad is because it's such a value environment. And by the way, it's always going to be a value environment in the restaurant space, no matter how the economy is. People are still going to be looking for value. People want to know how much they're going to pay. They want to feel like it's worth it in good times and bad times. That's what we all have to really understand. Right?
Well,
Embrace.
And I think I will tell you, this is the truth. So John and I met before we turned on the record, and I was kind of showing him around, and everybody we met said what when I introduced you?
So we love Madeleine, right?
Yes. And so
much so I think she set it up for me, but it was actually, I think it was real. You're convincing me it was real.
Oh my gosh. It literally was, Sarah specifically, did you see she went like,
yeah.
You work for Madeleine?
Yeah.
And what I love about that is this brand is about joy.
Totally right.
And the emotional connection is so, I got goosebumps thinking about it, because the emotional connection and the way her face lit up.
Oh, I can still remember it, right?
Yeah. Tell me, like, what went through your mind when and literally as another person was just recording in the studio.
Yeah. Also not set up, she says.
Yeah. No, but it was crazy. Hey man, if I thought of it, I would, right. But no.
For the next guest you get to.
Right? That was like perfect, but I was just crazy. But that genuine brand love.
And honestly, and obviously I'm the CEO of La Madeleine, so I'm a little biased, right? But that is what I get when I'm out about town, when I'm traveling, when I'm on an airplane talking to people. Anybody that has heard about La Madeleine has that same reaction, has that same feeling. And it's another testament to both joy as well as value. So we provide value in a different way than just price. Yes, we do, by the way. We have a pick 3 offer at La Madeleine you can get, which is a price-based offer. But that's a segment of guests are looking for that, but the vast majority are looking for that experience and the ambiance, the atmosphere, the hospitality that a brand like ours can deliver in a unique way in a very crowded category.
Well, and it is something so special where when a consumer just lights up. And
makes you feel great.
Yeah. And so as that brand owner today, and I know that you've been there just over a year.
Just about a year,
Just about a year now.
Yeah.
What are some of the things, I know you have a mantra of warmth, connection, and comfort.
Yep.
And what is it about La Madeleine today why is that so important for the brand?
People are looking for it, right? So we happen to be in a space where we can provide an experience above just the food. And the other thing we should mention is we have good food too. We have really good food. So we get high marks for our food, but and it's definitely gotta be careful how I say this. It's not an afterthought, right? But it's an expectation that we deliver good food. That still comes up when people talk about the brand, but they talk about that experience. And people are looking for comfort and connection at any brand right now, whether it's QSR, fast casual, fine dining, what have you. They're looking for those kind of connections, which is this beautiful industry we're in, is about hospitality and creating and curating those connections for people. So for me, in this case, to have a brand like that, where we can lean into that even more than we have in the past, and just dust that piece off and really accentuate it even more, that's where the exciting part is, and that's where the growth is going to come from us.
And that's so true. And I think the one and to that, which is something I know we've talked about before, is this brand, remind me, how old is Lama?
42 years.
42 years old.
Yeah.
Okay.
On our 43rd, I should say.
43, yeah. So in the 40s.
In the 40s.
In
We're
the 40s.
Yes.
On the
fabulous 40s.
I love that.
Yeah.
The fabulous 40s. There's this very difficult challenge between this idea of, you know, a lot of brands are trying to redefine themselves, reinvent themselves.
Yeah.
And there's this fine line. And, you know, it's one of my hot buttons that not to say going back,
Right.
back to basics or backwards. But it's bringing the brand forward. And so tell me about some of the things in your past career that have actually put you at this moment in time for this job, for this opportunity to bring this, to reinvigorate this amazing brand.
Yeah, I've had the fortune to work with a couple brands that people love, people know and love. They have high awareness, right? Denny's is I had 16 years at Denny's, about 10 years at Pizza Hut, right? So that's two examples. Also worked in the sports industry, and brands that people know and love, which I love the fact that I've been able to do that. But all have been around for a while. So to your point, you know, how do you steward brands like that and tell their stories for today? And yes, and this is where I think a lot of people get in trouble a little bit. You can embrace the past, but if, to your point, if you go too much back to the past, then you're that backwards brand. You're the brand that used to be that, and you're not that forward-looking brand. So there is a way to do both, I think. But it's important. I've seen brands make this mistake. Nostalgia is not a strategy.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Nostalgia can be a piece of a strategy, but I've seen brands that have leaned too much into nostalgia, and suddenly they're tired. Suddenly that consumer, subconsciously or consciously, they're saying that brand is not relevant for me today because they're going back to what they did 20 years ago. Now, let me speak out of the other side of my mouth because there's a way to do it. Like, again, with La Madeleine, we're going back to what's the roots of the brands are. The fireplace that we have in La Madeleine, the warmth and the hospitality, some of the food items are coming back because they've been missed. We're bringing back the free bread that we used to give away as part of the experience. Just launched that this week, actually. So those are elements of our legacy and elements of our past, but we've dusted them off and improved them at the same time, even with the bread. Now we're offering 3 different types of bread and served in a unique way this time. So again, you can embrace, but you have to modernize. And if you do one or the other, you're kind of using it. Right?
And for me, if I were to encapsulate just that idea, it's this idea of cultural relevance, because warmth, comfort, and connection never go out. Never go out of style.
They don't want them to go away.
Yeah, they will never go out of style. But how you deliver that stays relevant.
That's exactly right.
And so, just even the idea of the bread and having multiple selections of bread instead of just one choice, we know variety is important.
Variety is important. Yeah.
And so, staying true. I guess the other thing is so many brands. Just to your point about if you go back to nostalgia, that isn't a strategy.
Right.
But then also trying to be somebody you're not. I mean, that's also just not a,
right?
Yeah,
again, there's all buzzwords we all say, like you got to be authentic. But again, a lot of brands I've seen, most get it right, let me be clear. But there are some brands that make missteps, and it's because they're saying the right things, but they're trying to be somebody they're not. So and it goes back to, you got to simplify to who you are. You really do. And be proud of it, right? So.
Well, and let's talk about that, because in your posts, and again, since I've known you, it's so fun just to sit down and chat because we do this a lot. But I'm proud of you in the sense that I saw that La Madeleine was one of the top places to work in QSR magazine. And then what I love about John is his leadership style really is elevating the people and the culture. And so tell me a little bit, how did that feel? Because people can read the post and they'll read the article. But as a leader, how does that feel when your team acknowledges that?
Yeah, well, you said the key word, it's team. Yeah, so I'm the leader, but it's the team that got us to that place. So Well, now we've got the luxury of having, staff that loves this brand. It's a legacy brand. People that work with us, our team members, have been around for a while in a good way, right? And there's this real passion for La Madeleine that I felt day one when I walked in. So a lot of the tweaks I made were more so, and you'll appreciate this, just the storytelling aspect. So there's things that we were already doing, we just weren't amplifying them, even internally, much less to the external, world.
Well, and one thing that I know you did, and this I think goes back to just team members, from the frontline servers to the managers, franchisees. The first thing you did is you went out there and you did these Spark Joy conversations. You asked them questions. What was the most surprising thing that you learned that maybe you weren't expecting when you did?
That's a great question. Yeah, I mean, when I got at Madeleine a year ago now, so first 30 days, it was the listening sessions, and I've taken a chapter from several successful leaders that do similar things. So it's not a new idea, but it was critical. So I did a quantitative survey, just a quick survey on, hey, if you were me, if you were a new CEO president for a day, what would you do? What's going well? What's not going well? What would you bring back? All that stuff. Mm-hmm. So I tell you, the insights from that is probably the best thing I did in my first 6 months on the job.
Was there anything that really stood out?
I would say what blew me away was the passion that existed, and which I suspected, but it was just kind of this unleashed passion from, in this case, mostly the managers and the franchisees that came across in a quantitative survey. So I quickly followed that up with my team. We went out to the field and did what we call Spark sessions, Spark Joy. Spark sessions where we extended that listening aspect to, let's talk about it in a more of a qualitative fashion, right? So let's hear the passion behind the words. And we literally went out and said, okay, next level, what would you do? What would you change right now? Let's talk about it. And the nice part is we've been able to, over the last year, in fact, we just did another one 3 weeks ago, went back out and said, hey, this is what you told us last year this time. This is what we did based on your feedback, right? So, and that's just kind of amplifies the impact.
And what do you think how did they feel? Because again, part of it, we talk so much, we're in the people business, no matter what.
Absolutely.
But that closing that loop with them, tell me about what did you feel when you went back out and say, we did this, we changed things, we heard you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's an element of pride, as a leader of the organization to say we were able to do this, but, more so we're servant leaders. So we go out and front lines, managers, even frontline cashiers and servers, they know that customer better than we do. We can do all kinds of insights work and surveys, but at the end of the day, it comes directly from the front line. So it was good to be able to report back. And it's funny, as I prepared for the session, I literally went through the notes from a year ago and was like, oh, we actually did more than I thought we did in response to some of their thoughts and feedback. So it just gives the credibility that, yes, we are listening and we're acting on what you're telling us. Now, we're not always going to agree, right? There's reasons we took that away or we're changing to that or what have you. But the other value of those sessions that we can explain the why behind the decisions we're making, the why we're bringing bread back in our case, which is literally was what we went over a few weeks ago. And so therefore the team feels like they've got not only input, but ownership in the decision.
When they have a voice.
And they have a voice.
They have
a
voice, and that you asked a question, they had a voice, and you did something with it. Because a lot of times, unfortunately, people do surveys, and they don't actually take any action.
It can be a check the box exercise, but
they don't.
Insights,
Well, one of my fun things I always do is I ask people about their first jobs.
Yeah.
And I want to know, little John.
Yeah.
And well, first, where did you grow up? Which I think I know the answer already, but what was your first job?
Okay. Well, as far as where I grew up, I was born in Michigan, so you may not know that. So I was born in Detroit area, Michigan, but moved down. My dad got transferred when I was 8 years old. So I grew up in Dallas, moved to Dallas, North Dallas, moved around a few times, Richardson, Farmers Branch. So I grew up in the Dallas area, and spent most of my adult life and moved to South Carolina. I'm sure we'll get to as well, but came back to Dallas in 2020. So I grew up here. I'm not even answering your question, am I? So first job. Back to first job. Okay.
The first job. And but I want to come back to that, where you grew up in a minute. But so first job was what?
So first job, this will date me. First is delivering newspapers. I'm out of the back, and my mom drove me around. I think I was even 13, 14 at the time, and did the whole roll up the newspaper early in the morning, throw them out of the back of the, I can't remember what car we had at that time. I don't think it was a station wagon, but there was a hatchback somehow. And it was that's my first job, great first job. You learn discipline,
I was going to say,
customer service. You learn how much your mom loves you because she's driving you around on her time. She's not making any money off it, but and then just had to go door to door to collect the fees or to collect the subscriptions. It's all before computers, and I mean, gosh, I feel old right now, but
that's okay.
And then so that was my first.
But let me ask it. Let me pause on that for a second. So if you had, so your mom was part of that, she had to be there. Yeah. And I'm sure do you remember if it was still dark in the morning? Like, was
I do. I can visualize it right now. It was dark.
It was really dark.
Yeah.
And then as a 13 or 14-year-old kid, what I always find so fascinating is we don't really acknowledge the lessons that we learned at that age.
Yeah.
But you just rattled off what you did. So you had to roll the newspapers. You had to throw them. You had to convince your mom that you're going to go do this.
Maybe the other way around in that case. She's like, you're doing this.
Well, I was going to ask, did she encourage you to get it?
I think she did, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember, but I'm sure there's a little bit of encouragement.
Yeah. But what do you think that taught you at that early age of 13 years old?
Yeah, I mean, a lot, right? So you definitely don't value it at the time, but looking back, it was discipline, right? It was, like I said, customer service, right? It was having to have an uncomfortable conversation as a 14-year-old kid with an adult 50-year-old man because he hasn't paid his newspaper subscription.
So problem resolution.
And just, working for authority. So all kinds of fun stuff for sure.
Well, and did you have to, so you had to collect the money. And then did anybody, like back then, did people do like the holiday, like thank yous for did you feel that at all or in your neighborhood?
I don't remember that. So maybe I didn't give good service. I don't know.
That's really funny. But so accountability, getting up early.
Oh, definitely getting up early.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember as we're talking, I'm trying to remember how long I did that job, but I know I did it for a little bit anyway.
Yeah. And do you remember if there was cold or rain?
I do remember that. Yeah. And again, it's funny how the senses can come back to you when you're talking about it. But yeah, I remember dark, and I do remember very cold mornings.
Rain?
Yeah. And even the night before they deliver the papers to you, the newspaper company did. Dallas Morning News, whatever it was at the time. Like you had to roll them up, you had to put them in the bag. So it was all that people probably don't know that actually happened back then.
Right. They don't just come to you.
That's right.
Been ready to go.
Exactly right.
Yeah. And then mapping it out. So there's so much to be learned from
jobs,
right?
Yeah, that's a great question.
And like that sensory experience of, having to get up early. That's right. Because as a 13-year-old, you probably didn't want to get up.
Not at all. But it does teach you early work ethic. And then my first other real job was I worked at video stores. So back in the 80s, right? Where in the VHS tapes, Be Kind, Please Rewind, and all that was a thing.
So it was a Blockbuster?
Well, so my first job was a store called Video Works, which was close to my house, just a little mom and pop video store. But then I parlayed that into working for Blockbuster. And I tell people I worked at the second Blockbuster video. So this is when Blockbuster was just starting to take off in the mid 80s, right?
And I do remember that. Please be kind and rewind.
Yeah.
And if you don't know that, Google it.
Yeah, exactly right. It was
if you know that line, you could Google it.
Didn't rewind, but
yeah, no, that's awesome. And when that type of environment, because then you're really more front and center with customers.
Very much so.
Yeah. So any lessons, like thinking back to what it was like? Did you have to stock the new release wall?
You did, yeah. You put the tape right behind the cover, and and rewind them if they didn't rewind, stock them back. But I love that job. So I'm a movie nut, always have been. Used to love going to the theater back then people still do, right? But but in the 80s it was a thing. It was an event and storyteller, so I love the stories. But yeah, it's customer service again. It's my first kind of cashier role. Right?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, what's fascinating about that, John, is what you just said. I want to go back to is that number one, you love movies, but you learned that you like storytelling.
Oh yeah.
And so that's clearly ties into who you are today.
Very much so.
Yeah,
very
so
much so.
that attracted you back then even.
Yeah. I like the human element of stories and experiences, and that's as you look back, you're making me look back. So, but yeah, it all kind of ties together into kind of the career I've pursued since.
And that's what I love about getting to talk with people is I think at these early ages, the paper route, maybe not, but actually a friend of mine, she actually had a paper route and now she's a managing editor at the Dallas Morning News.
There you go.
And he hadn't even connected that dot, which was really funny. Because we all start with our after college jobs.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
But I find that what we gravitate to when we're younger actually ends up having a through line for that.
No, that's right. That's exactly right. And I had a passion for movies and, like I said, going to theater and all that. And so I pursued the job at the video stores because it was a passion I had.
Right. And did you get free rentals?
Oh, of course, yes. And you got, when they came out, the new movies came out, better believe I was the first one to take it home and watch it. I'm not going to put it on the shelf for customers yet, right? I got to preview it. I got to be able to talk to
you. Got to be able to tell the story about this movie. Okay, so and I don't want to digress too much, but this is so fascinating. Was there a movie that you remember either seeing in the theater or just a movie that stands out from those early days?
Early days. I mean, I'm a Caddyshack fan. That's what's popping in my head right now, right? So I watched that several times. Stand By Me. I mean, the things like that came out during the mid '80s. Those are the ones I remember. Some of them hold up pretty well, some not so much.
Well, those are two
had my girls watch some of those recently. They're like, okay.
Well, I think those are Stand By Me is a great one.
It's a classic.
Yeah, it's a classic, and I like Caddyshack. But my memory, really quickly, is my dad and I went to see Star Wars, the original, the first one. And so at home, I have an R2-D2 cookie jar.
Nice.
And it does say, I'm dating myself, 1977. But my mom didn't want to go to the movie that time. And so it was just my siblings and I with my dad. And that's like a memory I cherish. Some memory. So the movies have such memories. And that's where, we can talk about kind of moving. I know you went to Baylor. And what did you study at Baylor?
I started off wanting to be a lawyer. So I started as pre-law. And
so did I. I had to jump in.
Yeah.
I did.
I don't know if you had the same experience. So I worked in the law school library my freshman year. So I work study job. And I kind of laugh now, but I was working there. So I saw how hard they had to study. And I was like, I don't think I can do this. So I switched over to the business school.
Well, it's funny because I was pre-law. I thought for sure, my brother's a doctor, my sister's a CPA. I'm like, okay, I can be the lawyer. I'll round out the trifecta. And I hated being in the stacks in the library. I went to SMU, you went to Baylor, and being in the library stacks, and it was like, I can't live my life here.
Yes, exactly. The musty smell.
I just can't live. So I also was marketing. But I want to talk about, I'm going to kind of jump through, and I know you were at Pizza Hut for a while, but I love the fact that you worked for the Houston Rockets.
Yeah.
And I just want to understand, because I guess I have fandom in the sense I've always wanted to be in, I think, sports marketing and just sports. It must be my calling of some sort, maybe a previous life, but I am so fascinated by it. So first of all,
never too late, Lisa, I'm telling you.
I don't know. Yeah. If you know people, hey, I would love to be in sports marketing to do some projects. But what was it like I love the energy at live sports. And I grew up in Houston. So, I grew up going to Houston Summit. I think that was probably gone by the time you were there.
It was.
But what's it like being in sports marketing?
It was great. I mean, it's an experience I'll never forget. So, but I back up to I'm similar, and there's many people that want to be in sports of any kind. So I was that guy coming out of Baylor. And I would literally, I tell the story now, I'd send resumes back when you had to type them out and lick the envelope and mail. I would send resumes to every pro sports team, every college, athletic association, athletic department, minor league sports teams, just trying to get an unpaid internship. And I couldn't. I have a stack of rejection letters on pretty nice letterheads of all the teams and all that. But it was it's such a competitive industry to break into. So that was my dream coming out of school.
But what was that lesson? Because I remember those good luck in your career pursuit letters. It's literally, thank you, but good luck in your career pursuit. Right. And you did, at least you got a letter though, because nowadays, some don't even do that.
Yeah.
But what was that, knowing it was competitive, knowing that you worked your butt off,
Yep.
what did that teach you that you think you carried forward of all those rejection letters?
Yeah. And it took me probably 10, 15 years to learn it, but a little bit of it was never give up on a dream. And I say that because I had given up. At that point, I said, okay, I'm going to go do another job. My first after college job was Fidelity Investments. So I was trading mutual funds and it was finance, whole thing. And then I had done the Pizza Hut thing and all that. And then, true story, the HR director at Pizza Hut at the time, Christine, if you're out there, hi. Her brother, George, had just become the CEO of the Houston Rockets. And Christine knew me, knew my work ethic, knew what I could do. So she actually recommended me to George. And lo and behold, long story short, I got a call from the Houston Rockets saying, hey, you want to talk to us about this job? So I had given up on the dream.
Wow.
Way given up on it. And was enjoying what I was doing. But, then your dream job comes, it crosses your path. And my wife and I are Dallas people. We're like, Houston, I don't think we'd ever. It's like, oh, you better believe we're going to Houston for this job. Right.
But how did you, because I think that is so important though, is that at a moment, you had all this disappointment, all this effort that didn't pan out.
Yep.
And then this little moment came.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it might be hard to remember back exactly, but do you remember what was going through your mind at this time? Going to work for a sports team of what was going through your mind?
It was amazing, right? So it is kind of a dream. And I believe God has a plan for all of us, right? So I think that's part of it. I think it was probably pretty surreal at the time that this was actually happening. Again, forget who it was. It was more of just something, to your point, something you pursued for so long.
Right.
So I speak to college students all the time now, and I use that example as a story. It's like, don't expect a straight line in your career. Or if you have a dream, if it's not the timing right now, just still if you're interested, keep pursuing, or don't officially, lock it out, because it could come back.
Well, but I think what's also fascinating, and definitely I always believe that there is a bigger plan for all of us, but this idea of the fact that if you had that internship, you might have never ever gotten that job.
That's a great point.
At that moment, at that time, because, sometimes if you start in an industry, and I worked in an ad agency, and I actually had to change to the client side to get to where I am now. And so it's interesting to even think about the internship might have been the best thing that didn't happen.
Yeah. Unanswered prayers at that point, right? I mean, that's really what that could have been, to your very point. I hadn't thought about it like that, but you're right.
Yeah.
And that's where, kind of just building on that, that's why I do tell, students or mentors or whatever, mentees, is embrace the kind of crooked line of the curve. So I just mentioned my first job, marketing degree, coming out, I wanted a marketing job. My grades weren't that good, so I didn't get the cream of the crop kind of offers. So my first job was, I followed a group of my buddies that worked for Fidelity Investments here in Dallas, trading mutual funds. So here I'm a marketing degree. My first real job was in finance, right? So at the time I was like, I don't know about this, but I tell you, it was one of the most valuable things I did to get that finance exposure early.
Well, I was going to say that is a gift.
Yeah.
And that's why I also try to tell, college students, Gen Zs, even some millennials, it's not a linear process, but some of those jobs that maybe you didn't like, whether it was the paper route or maybe trading mutual fund, all of those things shape who you are today.
1,000%.
Is there somebody, you think about going back, who are the people that took a chance on you in your career?
A lot, right? And pretty much every job I've had, somebody's taken a chance. I think you mentioned the guy, the George of the Rockets, who hired me, despite not having the sports experience at the time. I think I look back to Pizza Hut days. So I went from Fidelity to Pizza Hut. My first job at Pizza Hut was a financial analyst, field financial analyst. So because I had that finance track at this point. But about a year and a half into it, I went to my division vice president at the time, because I was in the field office. Her name is Marcia Thompson. I said, Marcia, at the end of the day, I would love to be on the marketing side, because that's my degree, and that's where my storytelling passion is and all that stuff. And back then, It's not much different now, but a little bit different. Back then, the finance to marketing switch was pretty unheard of.
Well, and it's still hard today,
It's
but
hard,
even back then it was, even
but
more.
I mean, she knew me by that point. I proved myself, so she took a chance on allowing me to make that switch. So that was it was a low level position at the time, so it wasn't a huge risk for her, but it was still, still something.
Yeah, I think those are such important things, is that jobs in life are just not linear.
Exactly.
Yeah. So growing up, I want to go back to that super quick for just a moment, because when we talk about life is not linear, so tell me about, like, did you have siblings? Did you, like, growing up, and some of those things from family life?
Yeah. So older sister. So parents were divorced when we were a young age. Still an older sister, and we I would say, I love you, Sarah, but we kind of coexisted, and we've become extremely close since, right? But so we went through a lot of things together, so that bonded us in a big way, and it's really paid off in adulthood, so to speak.
Right. Yes. And so growing up in Dallas, and then I know something that just popped into my mind. I'm just going to toss it out there because it's a special moment. But we also both lost our moms about the same time. And I remember you were there to support me.
Likewise.
I still will remember red Cardinals.
Yep,
and I'll just say, I'll let John tell the story, but every time I see a red Cardinal anywhere, I text you.
Yeah.
And so tell me.
No, so red Cardinals are something, and I've learned since Cardinals are a sign of loss, but yeah, so Cardinals. When I was young, I called them card birdies, and my mom always would play that back to me. It's like, and so I thought it was kind of cute at the time and all that, but after she passed, I kid you not, I would see Cardinals everywhere, and really when I needed it the most, because it's tough.
It is.
Through it, it's very
Yes.
tough, and we lost 4 parents now, my wife and I, over the last 4 years. So it's been an interesting, tough time. Obviously, there's things you value through that experience, but yeah. So Cardinals is something that signifies, I think, a lot.
Well, and every time I see one, it makes me think of you. I never met your mom, but I felt like I had met her. And just the smile and the warmth in the photos that you shared with her.
Yep.
And so I just feel like that when you see those red Cardinals, it's her kind of looking, I believe, that those are those little winks from people that we might have lost.
I totally believe that. Yep.
Yes. So I think when you think about family and our journeys, I think it does kind of bring us back to why you are in the perfect job today, because for La Madeleine, it is just this amazing culture that it's centered on providing those memories for families.
Very much so.
So
it's that comfort and connection aspect. And again, it's the whole industry for the most part. Extremely, all the industry. Food brings people together. Restaurants bring people together. Back in the day, it was sports for me. It brought people together. They've shared experiences. And I think that's invaluable. So I am one of these guys, I've tried to leave the restaurant industry twice, and I've got sucked right back in, but I think willingly.
Right.
Just because it's something that I just love about it. I think we love about the industry, the hospitality in general. So for me, it's crossed sports and entertainment as well as restaurants, and some other aspects too. But there's something about those shared experiences and the comfort and connection that we can bring people together in a way a lot of industries can't, right?
Well, and from an industry, there's so many challenges right now. We could spend an hour just talking about that.
Oh, yeah.
But what is it about the gift? So if I think about the things we've talked about your love of storytelling. There's certainly this bond of a windy road that you took in finance and newspaper routes and sports marketing. Yeah. What is that combination that kind of uniquely puts you in this spot today to help solve those problems?
Yeah, I think it does go back to storytelling. It does go back to, how do you kind of lean into the specialness of the industry and then the brand within the industry, in my case now La Madeleine, and bring people together in a way that's authentic. Dovetails into the first part of our conversation, authenticity. So at La Madeleine, we have the nice, French-inspired, countryside charm, which is people just it's the third place aspect, just like Starbucks has now trying to get back to and all, right? It's like we have that, and we're just purposely leaning back into that even more, the unique aspects of our hospitality and our service that we can provide that other brands can in a different way, but we have a very distinct lane. So it's been nice to be able to kind of, like I said, dust that off a little bit, just accentuate it a little bit more, get the internal teams kind of jazzed about where we can go with that, and make decisions that, simplify that for the customer and the team member in our cafes.
And I think all of those are so critical in today's world, because a lot of times, I know, new in position, 1 year in, people might be like, "Oh no, John's going to change everything."
Right.
But there, he said under his breath, "There's some of that."
The impression was I was going to do that.
Yeah. But you have to, right? But it is that I'm sure the team feels appreciated, and clearly with recognition, great place to work.
And again, I always say this: like, the best ideas are on the front lines, and that was same at Pizza Hut, same at Denny's. Like, best ideas, there's a list somewhere of ideas that came from franchisees. At Denny's, the Grand Slam came from a franchisee originally, right? The McDonald's stories, the Big Mac came from a franchisee. So whether it's a franchisee or a team member, I've learned through my career, not just at La Madeleine, but passed on, to listen to the people that know best.
Well, they live it,
And they've got the best ideas. So the corporate team shouldn't be thinking of all the ideas. The corporate team, they just need to push innovation, but they need to listen, more than anything. That's where true innovation comes from, is listening to the guests, listening to the customer. And I tell my team, like, we have multiple customers. I mean, we have the guest in the restaurant, surely. We have the team member, in the cafe is our customer too. And then the operator or the franchisee is our customer. So those are the triumvirates that you need to listen to and create solutions that meet the needs of all together. And it is totally doable.
And what I have to ask about that, you have different stakeholders, as you just discussed.
Yep.
And I know Joie de Vivre, the joy of life, is a key part of it. And when you think about the word joy across all of those stakeholders, because, I love the fact that joy, you guys were talking about joy way before, today everybody's talking about joy.
Yep.
But you guys were living it, the brand lives it each and every day. But how do you think about delivering a joyful experience to all of those stakeholders that you just talked about? Because they're a little different, right?
Yeah, they are different. But I mean, I think it doesn't go back to listening, right? So it's listening to what the DNA and the authenticity of the brand is. And that's what we have. So when I got to La Madeleine, I did not know, shame on me for my 2 years of high school French, so I forgot everything. But I didn't know Joie de Vivre. I didn't know what that was. And I've just now learned how to pronounce it the right way, I think.
And I'm not sure I am pronouncing it correctly, but I try.
If it is, for those that don't know, it's a French philosophy of the joy of life, right? So it's a thing in France. And it's very, very powerful. So that's a great example of just when you think you have to invent something to try to make it, authentic, it's already in the wood of the brand. It's already in the DNA of the brand. So same thing there. Joie de Vivre is a term that's been floated around from the original La Madeleine founder, Patrick Esquire, like 43 years ago now. But it hadn't really been elevated internally into something that we wanted to lean into more. So we've done a little bit of that more recently. So we're not having to create something that's already there.
I find that so exciting, because 7 years of French, so high school and college.
Okay.
And then I live in Texas, and why didn't I take Spanish? I don't know.
Yeah. Now I know why, though, from my,
Yeah, well, you're set up. Yeah. But it is, and I had the opportunity to go to Paris for the first time a couple of years ago. And it was such a blessing. And what I love is, even when people travel to France, if they see Joie de Vivre, they text it to me. Like, they'll take a picture.
There you go.
And so I love that. So if anybody's in Paris and you see that, anything you see joy, send it text. I love it. It makes my day. It really does. But I think that's such a powerful, as you said, it's in the wood of the brand already.
No pun intended, because we do have some nice woods in the cafes,
so it's
right?
Pun intended. It should be pun intended, not unintended.
Own it, yeah.
Yeah, because I think you should start using that in your little talks.
That's right, exactly.
It's in the wood.
It's in the wood.
Literally and figuratively. Well, I want to actually go back to, I know we talked about your childhood a little bit, but I want to fast forward to more family things. So you're a girl dad.
I am. Three girls. Love it.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm 26, 24, 22. I think I got that right.
Yeah.
They just had birthdays, so sometimes it's hard to keep track. Yeah.
So being a girl dad today, because when I was growing up, the name girl dad wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
But so what is it like to be a girl dad?
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, I love it. I mean, there's something about daddy's girls and vice versa that's just been powerful from day one. So
Yeah.
so proud of each of them, and they all have their own little track and their own path, but it's been a blessing.
Well, and what I saw, just, some of your posts and everything, is that I feel like that, one of your daughters does some fundraising for nonprofits and things like that. So what are some of the things about those things that maybe you and your wife have instilled that you're excited that you see come through?
Oh gosh, that's a great question. I credit my wife much more than me, but yeah, it's letting them pursue what their passions, right? So we have my oldest is in grad school right now, Johns Hopkins in DC, and she's doing fantastic. Middle one's in advertising and an advertising agency here locally and doing fantastic. And the younger has one more semester at Baylor, and she's got an incredible future ahead of her, and so proud of her and all. So but giving them the independence, I think, to make their own decisions and do what they want to do. And that's, again, as parents, you know what you want them to do, but they've got to own that decision.
Well, and I think that that's so powerful. We were talking before we turned on the camera that independence is so important, that parents let go.
Yeah.
To be able to let their kids in. My parents, I grew up with the phrase, the answer is no unless you ask.
Yeah.
And my kids can play that back because I taught them is that you can't presume somebody can read your mind, and you learn no.
Right.
You learn no, that it's not always going to be yes.
Yes.
But was there a phrase that maybe, or a mentoring or a thought from your early childhood that kind of stuck with you from your mom or your dad?
No, but I'm going to use that one now too.
Feel free to borrow that one. It was a good one, which is the answer's no unless you ask.
I like that.
Unless you ask.
I like that.
And my mom and dad, I just credit them because it is like, you can't just assume.
That's right.
You can't assume.
That's right.
For work, for life, all of that, it all goes in.
That's totally right.
So, John, we have a tradition here, and I have these cards that I want you to pick one. I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
So pick,
do this,
and then I'll read it to you.
Okay. I won't read that. You read that one.
All right. So here it is. What was the most meaningful dream or nightmare that you had, and why?
Oh boy,
that's a good one, right? Like a dream that stands out.
Can I go back to the dream of, working in sports? I mean, that was a dream from when I was a little kid. I mean, literally a little kid. So you look back on it now, you say, I actually achieved a big dream that I had. So it takes a conversation like this to understand this. Like, yeah, that was a pretty big deal.
Well, we didn't even talk about, so did you play sports when you were a kid?
I played when I was young, yeah, for a while. And then I was sports editor of our school newspaper, but I've been a sports nut forever. And I think it goes back to human drama. It's the storytelling within sports. So yes, you want I tell my wife all the time, it's a reality show. So that's why I'm watching so much sports, honey, because it's really like a reality show, and there's no better reality show than live sports.
Yeah, and I always tell my husband he's so lucky because I love sports as much as he loves sports. So I am right there cheering on football and basketball and all the, I love sports, and I grew up in a sports family. I was a competitive ice skater.
Oh, there you go.
So that's an unusual sport for Texas.
That's exactly
for Texas.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the dream did come true.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that sports writing and wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
I wish, so next time I have you on, we're going to talk way more about the Houston Rockets because I want to know what it's like to just be in charge of that incredible moments and memories at a stadium. So we'll come back.
Yeah, no, there's a lot there. The whole show, the NBA in particular is all about the entertainment value too. So
you're not selling basketball, you're selling a memory.
Yeah, exactly right.
I mean, that is what you're selling.
1,000%.
Okay, so my other tradition is I had a guest on the other day, and I'm going to read you his question. Okay. And then I'm going to hand you the book, and you get to write the question for the next.
Oh, so he's asking me a question.
He wrote a question for you.
Got it. Okay.
But he didn't know it was going to be you.
Gotcha.
So here we go. Is there a particular memory that drives what you do today as a leader?
Is there a particular memory? I think less of a memory, but just more, I go back to the storytelling piece, right? So, I mean, the memories I have, and maybe this does answer the question. You mentioned before going to see Star Wars with your dad. I remember going to sports games with my dad, right? So, and just those memories that those create and those bringing people together moments. I remember a lot of, restaurant occasions with friends and family that are just so special. So you think a lot of memories people have throughout their life are in, entertainment venues, hospitality venues, restaurants. So I think that I'm getting there to answer your question, but I think that's it, right?
Wow.
So,
And, I'll add to your storyline
Yeah.
and your through line. So from that little boy delivering newspapers to Blockbuster and movies,
Yep.
through financials, through restaurants,
Yep.
you're in the moments and memory business.
I like it. I like it.
It's not storytelling.
I like
I mean, it is.
Yeah, you're right.
It is.
Storytelling within that, but it's creating moments and memories.
You
That's
are
what I like
all-
to do for people now. Yeah.
Yeah, you are all about
Yeah.
moments and memories.
Yeah, and it's funny, even like, because I do kind of gifts to my girls, my wife, and I'll create little puzzles for them to solve and things like that. So it's even hey, no, we're just going to go on this trip, honey. It's like, no, you get to figure out, you get to explore with me and put together, even giving the gift is a memory, right? So creating a story within that and creating memories, both on the trip and even the prelude to the trip, if that makes sense. So,
Absolutely. Yeah, that speaks volumes.
yeah.
Because in that it's a gift, because that's what we have at the end of the day,
Yeah.
these moments and memories
Creating
that
memories
bring
with
us
other
joy,
people. Yeah.
that bring joy.
Yeah.
All
Back to
ties-
joy. I like
it all ties back to joy.
like it.
Well, so for our final tradition, I am going to
Okay.
I'm turning the page, and then I am going to hand you this,
Okay.
and you get to write your question right here.
Okay. Might not be able to read my writing.
That's okay. Wonderful.
Cool.
So anything else that you want to add or
I
talk about?
Really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. Yeah. I mean, I love what you do and kind of the bringing joy out and getting people to tell their stories about joy. It's phenomenal. So
Well,
proud of you and all you're doing, but keep doing it.
well, my gift is to share joy,
Yep.
and that is what I do. So thank you very much, John, and we will do this again and talk more sports.
Sounds good.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
The Business of Joy. Thanks for tuning in today. I'm Lisa Miller. In growth, it doesn't come from more data. It comes from understanding people. It's translating human truth into the business outcomes. I work with leaders to close the gap between what consumers feel and what companies need to do. It's turning emotional insights into strategic advantages. It's the clarity that you need to drive growth. If that sounds interesting, let's connect. You can reach me at lisa@lwm-associates.com or on LinkedIn, Lisa W. Miller. And remember, joy is a choice we make and a business we build. So keep investing in joy.